Brother Tyler, invite the guests into the lodge and leave the door open so that others may join us in our message this evening. Welcome to another episode of Follow Me. We are your hosts, Worship Brother Wiley Forrester, and I'm Worship Brother Will Moore. Tonight's episode is brought to you
by those that have given the supreme sacrifice to our country. This being Memorial Day weekend, we should all take a minute to remember the real reason why there is a Memorial Day.
Absolutely. Thank you to all of our veterans. Thank you to all those families who are still around, for those that have given the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do.
So with that said, tonight we're going to talk about where'd you come from? Whence come you?
Whence come you?
As Masons, we have all of us who are here in Georgia, who have taken the ritual here and understand that we're asked one specific question when we're going through our catechism, and we all know what that question is. So tonight we're going to talk about some of the questions that come from the Lodge of the Holy Saints John. Who was the Holy Saints John? I mean, who were these two fine men? You know, John the Baptist was the greatest teacher of righteousness ever born. His unwillingness to sacrifice his message and his love for his maker created that righteousness is always good. Righteousness is perfect. And John the Evangelist was the greatest apostle of love. So there you have it. If you're coming from the Lodge of the Holy Saints John, and you're basically coming from the lodge of righteousness and love. You know, it's just crazy that you can sit here and think about, well, who were really St. John the Baptist and St. John the Evangelist? I had a conversation with a good brother of mine, and we were talking about ideas for this show for tonight, and he said, well, I'm going to send you some things. And he says, if it hits a good button with you, let's use it. So for the good brother who sent me this information, or the questions that I'll be asking tonight, thank you, because it really allowed me to reinvest in myself what it really meant when I came to the Lodge of Love and Righteousness.
Right.
So this should be that reminder for all you Masons. You saw it, and I'm sure you can see it now. As a Mason, you should understand what those two lines in that circle and that point within that circle should signify for you as a person. But even more in the Lodge of Love and Righteousness. Because when you were asked that pointed question, you were asked specifically, why were you here? And what did you come here to do? So that's the first question. All Masons right now, after seeing the graphic that is up on our screen tonight, after my explanation of what it is, you should now know where you come from in relation to a Masonic lodge. Mm-hmm. Because you stood there by yourself in the room of love and righteousness to try to figure it out. And we helped you along. Now, don't get me wrong, we taught some very valuable lessons. But the number one question is why did you come there to start with? Why? I mean, why did you come to that lodge? And then why did you stay? What spurred you to stay? I mean,
well, for me, it was the brethren. The way I was treated like family from the moment I walked into that lodge as a guest, just to eat dinner and meet some of them. So and then what I could possibly gain from Masonry was always in the back of my mind. What can I get from this organization? So The brethren in my lodge were very receptive, and that's the way it is in all lodges I've visited around the world. Just that they make you want to be there and they make you want to come back. Because at the end of a long night, whether it's a degree work or you've had a lot of business to take care of, when you leave, you may be tired, but you can't wait for the next one. So,
that's right. And this is an interactive kind of question. Why did you come there? Why? Why did you feel the need to fill the petition out and submit the petition? We all hear the same rhetoric, and I know it sounds rhetorical at times. Well, I wanted to go where good men are. Well, what does that say? That we're supposed to give off that perception of who we are really, and who we are really is supposed to be men of high character and high morals. Right. We talked about that in several episodes, and about the importance of character and morals and who we should be anyway. This is supposed to be us being good already and just taking it to the next level. We talked about the constant search within ourselves and the constant improvements but as a human being, even in the profane world, you should always strive to be a better version of yourself.
Well, to turn the questions back around on you, why did you come and why did you stay?
Well, I came because I was searching for something in my life. And at that particular point, I'm a young man of 25, 26 years old, 27, somewhere in that neighborhood. And I needed mentors in my life. I had grown up in a fatherless home that, I needed mentor. I needed someone to help guide me. And we always look to our Creator for guidance and balance in our lives. But to hear it from another human being, sometimes it just means more.
Right.
And that's what I was looking for. And when I went there and I saw all these great men who I had known growing up, and they were there, I want to be where they're at. Those were the best dudes I ever met in my life. So those are the ones I wanted to be with.
Right.
And if I could take a little bit of information from them and apply it to myself, I've already got to be a better version of myself at that point. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I stayed. I mean, I went there looking for that, and I found more than I could have ever dreamed of. Now, did I like all that question and answer stuff and all that stuff, committing it to my memory? No, not so much. But I found that I really was good at it. And at that particular point in my life, I was looking for something to be good at, and I was good at it. So,
well, and the question goes out to the audience as well, and please feel free to chime in to these questions. Why'd you come? Why'd you stay? What were you looking for? The next one's kind of a rhetorical question. Did you find it? Well, would we still be here if we hadn't found it?
True, but maybe not. I mean, maybe you would be here. You're unfortunately, the human nature. Human nature is kind of funny. You might want to stay just to see what the drama is. You just don't know.
Right, but if you're going to invest this much time in it, would you have stayed? Would you have... I don't know that I would have stayed this long had I not found what I was looking for.
Well, that's a true statement, but also, I'm not a quitter.
Well, the other part of that is, if you had to do all over again, would you do it again? Would you do it sooner? Would you do it later?
I don't know if I could. I don't know if my life was ready for it sooner, because I'm fortunate because I came into the lodge in my 20s. Even though we're in my late 20s, little did I know that there would be a complete and utter destruction of my life a few years after becoming a Mason. But because I was a Mason, and because of the brethren that I had met that had invested in me, saved my life at that point, because it was one of those things where your whole world gets turned upside down, and it's so catastrophic to your psyche. And for a man, you destroy his psyche, you win. whatever the tribulation is or the trial at that point, you win, because then your faith is questioned, your hope is questioned. But there were brethren there who took the lessons that were taught and applied them to real life, which was the first time I had witnessed that in real life. And when you feel that unconditional love without being judgmental, and all they were trying to do was pick someone up out of the gutter and get them back upright. So that's why I stay, because those brethren invested enough in me to show me that I had self-worth at that time when I didn't in myself. And what that allowed me to do was become on this mission I've been on for the last 20 years, is I will spend the rest of my life trying to repay Freemasonry what it did for me in that particular time in a young man's life who had no direction.
So I understand that in your life, and I know a lot of our audience feels that way, because a lot of these brethren and viewers we know, and it's the same with me. I didn't fall down that rabbit hole as far as you did, but it seems like Masonry came along at a perfect point in my time. And here's one of the things that I fall into. Sometimes I forget, and I guess mentally take advantage of what's been given to me, and not always thankful for what I've got.
And I think with that said, well, I've never heard you take anything for granted, ever. Now, you might feel that way, but it's never one of those outward moments.
Well, it's always an inward moment for me, but there's days when I've come back home from the lodge and thought to myself, I should have done more, I should have given more. And I've really been doing a lot of self and inner reflection while we've been down this time, because it makes you realize how much you miss when you don't get to go to it.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think I'm going to get a better feel for it.
I know exactly where you're coming from with that, because we talked about during this downtime how we wanted to make sure that we're self-searching ourselves, looking into our inner person, and I get it. You and I both in Freemasonry have been blessed beyond all belief with the things we've been able to accomplish, the things we've been able to do. Never in a million years, when I first signed that petition and I walked into a lodge, I never once thought in my life that that all these things would come, and to me, I know it sounds crazy, but they're things. I get to live this moment. I get to enjoy the things that have happened to me, and what I get to enjoy most of all is when others are successful or others are leading their lodges, and such as what we have done during our leadership conference and the things we've worked well together there, is watching these young men and even the older brethren mature into fantastic leaders of our fraternity. That's where I get the most gratification for me. It's not a plaque on the wall. It's not a certificate. It's, to hear your mentor, someone who's invested in you, say, "I'm proud of you." That means more to me than any award you'll ever hang on any wall.
Right.
When you and I are together and we get to do these shows together, how we feel when we're finished. Because we got to mentor to other people, even though they're our personal opinions. Sometimes, like tonight, we're using someone else's thoughts, but we're using someone else's ideas, and we apply our thoughts to it, is a better way to phrase that. But we are still so appreciative of the fact that we have the opportunity to mentor to other people. And that's where our satisfaction comes and allows us to grow.
Well, and we just like to share. And that's, something Wiley has always been able to do. And I'm learning more and more how to do it. And I don't think it is. I know it's my way of being able to give back to the fraternity something that it's given me for the last 15 years. giving back in this way, putting out our thoughts, helping others. As long as someone gets something out of every one of these that we do, I'm happy with it.
And all we want to do is influence one person. If you influence one person and the other person tells someone else, and the next thing you know, that's where we're at. That you can't ask for any better. Yeah. So
it's comments like Brother Cole just made. I'll give you a second to read it because that's very touching, Brother Cole. You just have no idea of the joy and love that Wiley and I have for doing what we do. What is that about?
I don't know.
Just hearing that from you guys is all the thanks that we ever need, and we don't even ask for that. We don't expect that. We do this for our love of the fraternity and for the love of the folks that have mentored us through the years, being able to give back a piece.
Right.
Because, like Wiley said, we can never repay it all. We all come from different places, but we've all met on the level and one location, be it this YouTube channel or be it at a lodge or a barbecue or whatever. Just being able to come together from different walks of life and share a common goal just makes us a better community and a better world.
And it goes back to the St. John's thing, in the beginning, love and righteousness. Mm-hmm. Think about that. What makes this fraternity great is love. What makes it even greater is the righteousness that comes with that. Because we should know the difference between right and wrong, and we should be able to make good decisions, and we should be able to not always agree with each other, but still love one another. I mean, I know it sounds crazy to talk to a bunch of guys about love, but guys, I'm telling you, you are love. God created you to love, and I don't mean to throw religion into anything. All I know is my Creator created me to love my fellow man.
And in this day and age, it's nice to have a good message. I know we brought some hard topics over the days, mm-hmm. but it's always nice to bring a good message out there, because I was listening to the news this morning, and I heard about a guy getting shot in his car because he took a parking spot that somebody else wanted.
Oh, yeah.
At a gas station. This world has gotten down to shooting people over a parking spot at a gas station.
And they're fighting at the Ross just because they've been closed for 2 months,
It just amazes me what this world's gone to, but yet I can look at a brother and say, brother, I need your help. And that brother's going to do everything in his power to help me if he's able.
So you think about that. You made a big statement right there. When we started talking about the St. John's, right? Mm-hmm. Whence come you? All Masons should be able to answer that question. Whence come you? But what righteousness and love did in Freemasonry, and what it continues to do, is it creates duality into one. Meaning you combine love and righteousness together, and things are good. It's the overall good of mankind. So you think about that, the duality of one. You got to travel those parallel lines between being righteous and having love. And and you're always at the center of those, always. And if you know, when you were taught about what you're supposed to do with your passions and how you're supposed to keep those passions, then all of this, the artwork on the screen, makes all the sense in the world to every Mason, wherever you are on the face of the globe.
Well, and the other thing, too, is in my mind, I've thought about this because I actually have a pin. Worship Brother Coffee, his lodge was selling them as a fundraiser, and I actually have a large blue pin with this on there. It doesn't have the St. John's, but it has the 2 lines, the circle and the dot, the point. And when I sit and think about it, I think, that's a road we're traveling, 2 lines. You're walking down the center of that road, and around you, that circle, are my brethren. Mm-hmm. And if I stray and get too close to the edge of the road, my brethren help push me back into the middle where I belong.
Yeah, and they do that instead of tearing you apart.
Correct.
And that is a great analogy of that, because we need to practice as a whole. Even you and I, we could always use some improvement in some things, because we're going to kick each other back on the path, but we can't kick all the brethren back on the path. If we could do that, we'd be out there and we'd have some sore legs, because there's some that need to be kicking. But what we're saying is, well, we need to nudge each other like we're supposed to.
There it is. That's the word I was going to use. We got to nudge each other. And for those that are Masons, we all know what the nudge is. But if you think about that pin, not just being your desires, think of it as your brethren around you, helping to keep you traveling down that straight and narrow.
Right. That's a great analogy. But that goes on to the next question that we have for tonight. And this is for all the audience and all those that are watching.
Biggest pin ever. You're right, Brian. It's
massive. It would not even fit in my pin box. Michelle said it has to have its own box. But what I'm asking all of you that are out there watching tonight, and I want you to think about it. You don't all have to answer. None of you have to answer if you don't want to. But who's made the biggest impression on you as a Mason? While you were spending all your time, you know who your mentors are. But here's a bigger question: have you ever told them? Mm-hmm. Have you looked them in the face and said,
some of them,
this is what you've done for me, and this is what you've done, and this is how I feel about you. And if you haven't told this person that was your mentor, you should be ashamed. Because your mentor, every human being loves to hear kindness, and they like to hear that they've had an impact in someone's life. Because we talk about it often on this show that you never know who you can impact. You know what I'm saying? You never know what impact you've had on anybody.
Well, and telling someone that they're your mentor. If that brethren's having a bad day, a bad week, a bad month, or a bad year, you go up to him and say, brother, you're a mentor to me, and thank you for all you've done to me. It might help nudge them back into the center of their road, because they didn't know that. Now they know that, and it makes them think, and it will probably help them a lot more than you might think. So always think about what you can tell someone, because it will affect someone's life. One of my biggest mentors is sitting right beside me, and he knows that. Had it not been for Worship Brother Wiley here, I wouldn't be doing the stuff I'm doing within the state. I wouldn't even have thought about doing it, especially not this cast on Masonry. I've thought about doing casts in the past. They've never panned out. I've thought about doing other things. They've never panned out. But he and I sitting down and talking to each other about it and saying, let's do this. To us, this is the best thing we've ever done. Even if it was just one person watching, or 1,000 people watching, we don't care. We just love the fact that we can get out here and share what Masonry means to us, help share some things that are going on in the state, around the country, around the world, which, by the way, our Grand Master here in Georgia has... he amended it, but he set us till June 12th now. Yeah. I know most folks know that already, but I want to kick that out there while it's fresh in my brain.
Yeah, we had a squirrel moment right there. I saw it.
I know. So I'm looking forward to getting back to Lodge. We've talked about it time and time again on this show. I am so looking forward to seeing my brethren again. I talk to them all the time. We talk face-to-face via Zoom or some other medium. Wiley and I get together at least twice a week, if not more. But it will just be fantastic to see those brethren and sit in a lodge and do what we love to do on those Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah, we miss it bad. We miss it in the worst sort of way, as I'm sure all of you do. And Lord knows our Grand Master and our Grand Lodge officers, they have been... I could not imagine being in their position right now, but I will say that our Grand Master has stayed strong. He stayed the course. He's done what he's felt is right, but he has not done it without lots of counsel.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's he's done a fantastic job, and I hope that he really knows. There are a lot of us out here that appreciates the stance that he's taken, and not so much for myself because I'm not in that demographic, but I definitely understand. I don't want to see any of my brethren and anything happen to any of them. But the gist of our thing, talking about the Holy Saints Johns and the Lodge of the Holy Saints John, is that to go back and review and let's answer these questions. And I want you to take these questions with you before we move on to the next topic. I got one more small topic I'd like to talk about before we do our quotes. But why did you come? Why did you stay? What were you looking for, and did you find it? And then after the all that was said and done, now that you've invested all this time, would you do it again? Would you do it again earlier, later, wait, not wait? Who's made an impression on you as a Mason, and have you told them? And if you haven't told them, then why haven't you told them? Those are very, very important things that you need to ask yourself when you're looking at those two parallel lines, that circle and that point. You need to understand and go back and revisit those as Masons on a daily basis, not just every now and again, on a daily basis. I would like to go back and the other thing I wanted to talk about tonight was something that I feel that is very important, and I feel that is lost in translation a lot of times when we're trying to figure out who we are as Masons. Okay. As it pertains to who we are specified by our Grand Lodge. It's in our code. It's in our law. You know what I'm saying? So I pulled up a page out of our Masonic code, and once you pass the index, you'll see the front page of the Masonic code. The new one is finished finally. Thank you. It's phenomenal. It only took us 7 months, but we got it. But anyway, First Brother Tom Bruce, you did a fantastic job, hands down. But on page 1 of the Masonic code, once you pass all the index and of course the title page, there's a declaration of principles that I think that all Masons need to go back and read, and they need to commit it mostly to memory. I've heard one person that would say this from memory. I've actually heard them say it verbatim. They said it to memory because it's so etched in their heart. They felt the necessity to put it in their repertoire, so to speak, as their ammunition when they're talking to brethren. But Freemasonry is a charitable, benevolent, educational, and religious society. Its principles are proclaimed as widely as men will hear. Its only secrets are in its methods of recognition and of symbolic instruction. So that's a pretty broad statement to make right out of the gate. I mean, it's huge. Tells you exactly who we are as Freemasons in the state of Georgia. Okay? And then it goes on to tell you why we are each one of those things.
Right.
It's educational. I'm skipping over 2 of them, but it's educational in that it teaches by prescribed ceremonies a system of morality and brotherhood based upon the sacred law, the rule and guide. Doesn't matter where you come from. At no point did it say a specific version of that.
Correct. The
sacred law, okay? It's benevolent in that it teaches and exemplifies altruism as a duty. It's so profound of what it tells this book, which is the book of Masonic law for those of you in the state of Georgia. It tells you exactly who we are and what our responsibilities are. It's a social organization only so far as it furnishes additional inducement that men may foregather in numbers, thereby providing more material for its primary work of education, of worship, and of charity. It allows us to get together as a group and work on it. It's just phenomenal. I mean, it's just through the improvement and strengthening of the character of the individual man, Freemasonry seeks to improve the community.
You know, just because it's in our code, it is, some of this stuff is so universal. It's amazing when you sit back and think about how the universality of Freemasonry is, and that even though it's in our code this way and in our declaration, if you go and read other jurisdictions' code books, you're going to find a lot of similarities, not just in the U.S., but around the world. So it's really cool when you sit down and read this. And I never read this. I didn't even know where our Constitution was until my mentor over here said, oh, it's right here in the code. I always flipped through the front to find the piece of code that I needed to look at. I never sat down and read it and studied it.
So all of our Masonic brethren out there, actually, I mean, I've skipped over some of this Declaration of Principles because I didn't want to just keep it going in there. But what I will tell you is all Masons need to look at the Masonic Code, whether it's a 1995 version or it's a 2020 or 2020 version. It's the same Declaration of Principles in this book. It hasn't changed. I don't think it's moved much. This is like having a mission and a vision statement all in one. Just boom, there it is. Yeah. It's a cool thing to know who you are and what you stand for, because these are the expectations of a Mason in the state of Georgia. Right. This is what is expected of you, and it tells you up front. You know, it tells us that believing these things, that this Grand Lodge affirms its continued adherence to that ancient and approved rule of Freemasonry, which forbids the discussion in Masonic meetings of creeds, politics, or other topics likely to excite personal animosities. What we talked about it several episodes ago. We don't talk religion and politics in a lodge.
And Works Brother Kessler said, for those that have access, and if you don't, sign up, it's free. The code is on Grandview. So if you have access to Grandview, you have access to Georgia's code.
And the new one is up there. I know it's there. I saw it today. You know, I'm telling you, it just makes sense, fellas, for those of you who have never picked up the code book, and I know it's a hard read. It's like, sometimes it's like reading Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma. I'm telling you, it's that hard a book to understand. But what we do is you surround yourself with mentors who can help you better understand.
Brother Kessler.
Yeah, like Brother Kessler. Brother Kessler, you're the man always, brother.
When it
comes to the code, you are definitely the man. Even though we know the Grand Master is the only one that can interpret the code for this year. Brother Moore says that it's not on there yet.
I'm going to check now.
So Brother Will's looking at it now. If not, it will be up there within a matter of days, I promise you, because I know I just got the new version yesterday.
So go to my portal.
And go to resources.
It is gone.
It was there. It's now gone.
Well, it will be back. I guarantee that.
It'll be back. Just keep looking. But anyway.
We'll post something on our Facebook to let everyone know when it's back.
I know I didn't say yet.
All right. It's not there right now. We will make sure that we talk to someone in the know. And when it goes back up,
we'll put a blast out. We'll put
a blast out on Facebook to let everyone know. So if you don't follow our Facebook page, go ahead, because you get you'll get some blips on there just like this.
And it's hard. It's not. I forget to go to Grandview sometimes because I always carry the digital stuff. It'll probably be up there in just a minute, I promise you. So just keep looking back. But anyway, I just wanted to share some things off of the just off of what I read on the decorations page, and I read this quite often because I think it's very important to where we want to be. And it talks. I wanted to share one other part about the decoration too. About it, it's religious because that's what it says in its principles. It's religious, but what it teaches is monotheism, which means universality. There's one God, but different. It's the volume of sacred law, no matter where you are, is always open upon our altars when our meetings are open. Whenever a lodge is in session, reverence of God is ever present in its ceremonial, and to the brethren of constantly addressed lessons of morality, yet is not sectarian or theological.
You know, when you told me you were doing this episode tonight, the thing that I thought about was exactly the direction this episode went. You know, I put the little graphic up there, said traveler, and I said from where. You know, one of the things we always have to do as Masons, and we always have to do as men or human beings, is where do we come from and where are we going?
That's right.
Regardless of whether we have our roots in Georgia, whether we've moved to Georgia, whether we moved to another state, where we live doesn't really matter when it comes to Freemasonry. But always remember, you're always traveling, and you always got to remember where you came from. And the reason I say that is you got to remember where you came from so you know where you're going. So when I put this title together, and I try not to do clickbait too much because I know that's a big deal for some people, but I try to make our titles where you think. And when I did that tonight, if you did the graphic first and then the title, some of you probably got it. Traveler from where? Some of you may have gotten the whence come you. If you didn't, I want to give a little insight behind that so that it tried to make a little sense out of what we were doing.
Yeah, sometimes we don't make sense out of what we're doing either. We're just trying to fill it out as we go, and we just want to be better than we was the last time. That's all we want to do. I want to give some big shout outs, Brother Lamore, and there's several other brethren that are on here tonight. Brother Westbrook from Tennessee, and of course always Brother Cole and Brother Forrester and Brother Bradley. We're glad that all of you spend a little time with us, and it's become sort of your new norm.
Brother McGee.
Yeah, Brother McGee.
Kessler.
We got a lot of brethren that are watching that are not interactive with us, and probably sometimes that's for the best because I'm sure we open mouth insert foot quite often on this show. I would like to say though, I hope everyone is feeling better about themselves. I hope that we're getting over this hump and we can, new normal, old normal. It's such a hairy topic. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't sound cool. Normal for me is being able to talk to my brethren, share Masonic messages with everybody.
Right.
It doesn't matter if I'm in a lodge setting or we're sitting here looking at this camera.
Well, and part of the new normal is going to be folks are going to see us at least a couple times a week, whether it's a live show or a recorded show.
I will tell you.
This is part of our new normal. And let me tell you that episode we put out Tuesday, we are sorry for the video quality and we're sorry for the audio quality. We're still learning.
And I'm sorry for the chicken legs, Brother Lamore, but you're right. If that was a tile meeting, there would not be any shorts in a lodge. I promise you. Nor a wife beater or a t-shirt with the sleeves cut out or anything. I'm just saying I wouldn't do it.
Well, but as we learn, we're going to get better at it. And Tuesday night's episode, by far, has been the biggest episode we've had on the channel. It's gotten more views in one day than any other episode.
Matt McGee, you're a lifesaver.
And we enjoy doing that, but we need more input from the community. What do you want to see? I know we get an idea here and there, but shoot those ideas to us. Send us emails. A lot of you know our personal emails, and that's fine. Send it to masonicfollowme@gmail.com. flood us with topics and things you'd like to see and like to hear.
I can promise you that when we get on the road again, we're going to be on the road again. It's going to be just like Willie Nelson's going to be hollering at us on the road again, and we're going to be blah, 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 blah.
That's one of the cool things, too, is when we get on the road, we're actually going to hang some cameras in the vehicles, whatever we're riding in, and we're going to record episodes as we travel, and then we'll edit them and put them up so that some of you will get to see the inside of not only some of the discussions we have, we're going to try to show you a little bit more on the inside of what happens at, say, not in the Grand Lodge session, but around the Grand Lodge session, say around the farmers market, say when we go to a convention or something of that nature. We want to show people more of what goes on so you don't feel so left out if you can't make it. And yes, the Grand Lodge of Georgia has an official Facebook page. We procured the rights and admin rights to that day before yesterday. I want to thank everyone who's liked that page as well. We've more than doubled our followers on that page. And if you want to go to it, it's facebook.com/official Grand Lodge of Georgia. It is a quick way to get there.
I will tell you, this has been a fun adventure for us. Sometimes it gets hard when we want to talk about some things, and sometimes we're not real sure about what we want to talk about, and when we do, we're not real sure which way we're going to go with it, because me, I'm a hardline kind of guy, and Will's kind of he likes to tone it down a little bit, but I believe that if you look a man in the eye and tell him the truth up front, then if one man feels this way, there got to be other men that feel this way.
Right, but sometimes it's really hard for us when we bring a topic. We know it's going to be a hard topic. It's hard for us to sometimes look you all in the eye via the camera and talk to you the way that it needs to be talked, not sugarcoated. And I think we've sugarcoated too much in our lives over the past couple of decades in the world, and we're trying to take that sugarcoating off and give it to you straight. So we might aggravate some of you, we might annoy some of you with what we're saying, but when you probably sit down and think about it, you'll know that we didn't sugarcoat it and we just came to you straight.
And trust me, we're not going to sit on this thing, on this stream every single time and tell you stuff that we haven't legitimately tried to back up with resources.
Right.
There are things that I believe strongly in. There's things Will believe strongly in,
and they're not the same.
And yeah, a lot of times they're really not the same, and it concerns me sometimes. But neither here nor there. We have our passions about certain things, and I am all about understanding and making brethren understand Masonic protocol. The book of the law, the book of the sacred law, those are what's let lodges survive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why we are who we are. So, but anyway.
Well, to wrap this thing up a little bit, and I'm gonna put the kibosh on Wiley because he could go on for a while. You all know that. I'm gonna make him stop tonight.
Yeah, good job.
Let's get our quotes in. Let's wrap this thing up for
absolutely.
another evening. So, first and foremost, Mark Twain.
Yeah, we like Mark Twain. Mark Twain was a pretty smart fellow to be as crazy as he was.
A man cannot be comfortable without his own approval. If you don't love yourself, how can you expect others to do it? He didn't say all the end part, but he says a man cannot be comfortable without his own approval.
Well, William Howard Taft,
president.
The true Mason takes full responsibility for the condition of his character, and even strives for his perfection.
And ever strives
for his perfection. Yeah.
Freemasonry is founded on the immutable laws of truth and justice, and its great object is to promote the happiness of the human race.
Who said that?
President George Washington.
So, we should always take control of our own character. You're the only person that can control it. Don't fall into the vices and vicissitudes of life. We were taught that in a lecture we were given one time.
But the cool thing is, you could always call a brother.
Yes.
If you feel like you're falling down that path.
Yes.
Because I guarantee you, someone out there will drop everything they're doing to talk to you. I've had to do it. Wiley's had to do it. I'm sure brethren and even guests on this show have had to call someone calling a lifeline. So, all of you, thank you for your time again this week. We do appreciate it more than you ever know. Please remember to hit the subscribe button, the like button on this video, and also hit that little bell over there, because that bell will remind you when we have a new episode that goes live, or we got one coming up, or we've put up a recorded show. Any final thoughts?
No, you took them all away from me. You told me I couldn't have any more thoughts. So I guess I'm done for the night.
All right, everyone. As we always say, be excellent to each other. Good night.
Good night. Okay.